Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me today. We have another new episode, although this is not really a gameplay episode. This is basically just a rant and rave by myself on some of the things that I like or don't like about different games, different systems, or whatever. Today, I'm already in a bad mood, and after playing some of these PC games and trying to understand the loot system, I've decided to go off on all of the manufacturers who can't come up with a decent loot system. For those of you who don't know, this is Lord of the Rings War of the North PC game that came out, I don't know, I would say towards the end of last year. And when I'm talking about a loot system, it's mostly action RPG games that have it, such as Diablo 3, um, Dungeon Siege 3, Kingdoms of Amalur, Diablo 3. These are all recent games that came out. And what do all these games have in common? Well, they have a piece of crap loot system. You can't understand it, you don't know what it means, you can't do anything with it, and basically the game manufacturers have spent all their time and efforts into producing a game with great graphics, great story, great action, great RPG elements, but they can't spend more than 2 minutes coming up with a decent loot system. I don't understand. It's not that complex to do. You can spend more than 2 minutes creating it, and you can actually come up with a better thing than they have. I don't know if they get 6-year-olds to do it or what, but there are some very easy fixes that the manufacturers could do to improve and create decent, wonderful loot systems. Basically, for an example here, I just wanted to load up this game. This is War of the North, Lord of the Rings game. Very good game all the way around. I've enjoyed it thoroughly, but the loot system absolutely is atrocious. Let's see if I can find the loot system. Here it is. So if you look at this, there's all the different piece parts that go in to the different character. Here we have gloves, we have swords. Here you notice it's a purple sword. It's one-handed. It gives me a damage value. It gives me +3 will. What does that do for me? It does nothing that I know of. I have no idea. I'm sure it adds to my willpower, but I don't understand. +50 power. I'm sure that's going to give me more power. Reduce wear 300%. +16 fire damage. Let's look at this. This is a purple warhammer here. I get +5 health regen. +16 shock damage, +15 shock damage, +5 fire damage. Now, what I don't understand or don't know, and maybe somebody can explain, but a lot of the time when companies come up with these loot systems, they don't tell you if this bonuses that are part of the weapon are actually already incorporated into the damage done for the weapon. So, for example, in this weapon here, it does 130 to 164. Now, does that take into consideration these bonuses or not? I have no idea. Couldn't tell you. Again, here's a pair of pants, +5 dex, +20 health. Here's a pair of boots here, +2 strength, +15 health, +35 armor. Enemy mischance, +3%. So, with all these in mind, I'm going to give you a few minutes of things that I think they could do to create a much better loot system for an action RPG game. The first thing I don't like that most manufacturers do is they don't use enough different colors for their game, for their treasure. Most of them have white and blue and purple, and that's about it. And it really doesn't. When you get a white item, you get a blue item, you get a green item, or you get a purple item. Here's a green one here. A lot of times you can't even tell if that's better than any of the other class weapons. So the first thing I would do is if I was going to design a loot system for an action RPG game, or any game for that matter, is I would incorporate a lot more different colors for their items. With more colors, you can get a lot more variety. So if they had white, gray, yellow, pink, orange, red, blue, green, purple, black, silver, and gold, that's just 12 different colors off the top of my head. They could create a much better system because they would have a lot more variety than having just 3 or 4. When you only have 3 or 4 different colors, you have to put all your different weapons into those different colors. So if you had 12 different classes of weapons, you'd have a lot more variety to put your different weapons in. So that's number one. Number two, second and most important thing I would do is I would level cap each of the different items for the different colors. So for example, if I had a white item, maybe white items would have base damage 1 through 20. Let's just say 1 through 20. That means any white item you pick up would only have a base damage of between 1 and 20 points of damage. Then maybe your next level up would be, say, gray. Gray would then have a damage between 21 to 40. So that way I know that if I pick up a gray weapon, it's automatically going to be better than a white weapon because it does more base damage. If you have an overlapping amount, such as white doing 1 to 30 points of damage and gray doing, say, 15 to 40 points of damage, you have an overlap. You can't tell whether a white item or a gray item is better. So, I would definitely level cap each of the different classifications so that it was set as to what was in each different level. Each different color has a level cap of a set base number and how much damage it can do. So if I had a white item and then I say I had a white pair of gloves and I came across a gray pair of gloves, I'm going to know the gray pair of gloves is going to give me more armor in this case. So maybe white armor is 1 to 10, gray armor is 11 through 20, yellow armor is 21 through 30. So that way it's easily identifiable for a person to go, okay, well this is a gray item and I just picked up a yellow item. The yellow item is going to give me better armor right off the bat. I don't even have to think about it. And having all these different colors in your system, white, gray, yellow, pink, orange, red, blue, green, purple, black, silver, and gold, you would be able to move up the chain as you move through the game. So your level, you would get better items as you moved up as you played through the game. You would get better items. You would know they were better because you would get new colors for them. Next thing, and one of the most important that I would change, is I would remove all the stat bonuses that don't make any sense to somebody playing the game. That just, plus 3 will. This is, it's going to give you different bonuses. They should come up with different stat lines or something that tell you actually what the bonuses do. Plus 3 will, plus 50 power here. And like I said, I'm just using this game as an example, but all the different games. If you play Dungeon Siege 3, they have a horrible loot system because you have something like one weapon might give you plus 5 willpower. You have another weapon that might give you plus 10 to your doom power, and it makes no sense whatsoever. It's still a great game. The action RPG, great graphics and everything. It's just the loot system is absolutely terrible. You can't understand what any of the abilities do. Diablo 3, the game we've been waiting on for a decade. You think they would have spent at least more than 10 minutes in the last decade creating a loot system that makes sense. They have abilities in Diablo 3 where the enemy that attacks you takes does a melee attack. Does 3 points of damage to it, or 5 points of damage, whatever your bonus is. So what you're saying to me is if the enemy hits me 250 times, it's going to kill himself. Well, that bonus is just not very good. I can, if the enemy's hitting me and taking a little bit of damage, that's great. But still, he's gonna have to hit me 250 times to kill himself, and in that time, I would have died 4 or 5 times. So, having abilities and stats that work with the weapon that people can understand is not that complicated, not that hard. Give them bonuses that actually work and work for the person. An extra 2% gold drop. Again, that sounds great, but it actually doesn't mean nothing. It's just it's actually I think this is one of the worst abilities there was for Diablo 3, because if I was to minimax my character with all the different stat bonuses to get the extra experience points, my character would level up quicker than all the other characters, and I would progress through the story with a higher level character, making it that much easier for myself. So even though that giving characters extra experience points per kill in Diablo 3 sounds like a great idea, that just doesn't pan out very well because of the impact it has in the game. So, manufacturers. Oh, while we're talking about it, when you're doing things with stats, last and not least, and probably most importantly, let's see if I can find one in this game. Oh, there's a great example here. Enemy mischance 3%. Get rid of percentages. Nobody understands what the hell a percentage is for anything. All the different games I mentioned, Dungeon Siege 3, War in the North, Kingdoms of Amular, especially Kingdom of Amular, I think all of their bonuses are based on percentages. It's like 6% extra chance to block, 4% extra chance of bleed prevention, blah, 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 blah. That doesn't mean anything to anybody. Nobody understands what a percentage does unless you actually put the information in there. So, if you're going to say enemy mischance plus 3%, then give the total so that the person understands, okay, well, if I put this on, my mischance is going to go from, say, 27% to 30%, so they can actually see the increase. I don't know if this is going to give me a 3% bonus. If I have 0, then I'm only going from 0 to 3, so why would I even focus in on enemy mischance? And again, I'm not trying to pick on this game. This is still a wonderful game for those of you who haven't played this. War in the North, Lord of the Rings, excellent adventure, role-playing strategy, adventure game. So I'm not just talking about this game. I am talking about every game that has come out within the last several years have had nothing but a piece of crap loot system. So manufacturers, use more colors. Okay, you got colors, use them. You got 320 million different colors out there. Why don't you use more than just 2 or 3 of them? Okay, if you had a system with 12 or 15 different colors, that gives you a lot more variety. It gives your players a lot more variety. It gives you a chance to um, put your items into different categories instead of just lumping them all together. I don't know how many times in Diablo 3 that I've taken my wonderful items, trying to think of, I got a couple legendary items that I had found, and they quickly got replaced by just common blue items. It should not be that way. As you move up levels in your items, the higher level, the more color you got in your item, then that item should be better. And how do you do that? You put a level cap on each of your different colors. Simple. Level 1 white items are going to have these bonuses. Boom, 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 boom. If it's armor, 1 through 10, or depending on your system you got for your, whatever game you're creating, if it's 1 to 100, or 1 to 10, 1 to 20, whatever it is. Gray then is going to be the next number up. So if you're using 1 to 50 is white, then gray should be 51 to 100. So I know if I got a gray item, it's going to be better than a white item. I don't need to sit there and spend half my game comparing all my items just because I can't tell if a gray item is better than a white item. I can't tell if a red item is better than an orange item. I can't tell if a green item is better than a blue item. I got to compare all the stats. Again, manufacturers, make sure you put stats that work in the game for the person to understand. And get rid of percentages. Use actual numbers. If you have to use percentages because that's what your game system's based on, then show the person in parentheses what that actually means to them. If I get a plus 5% chance of blocking, what does that mean? What is that going to do for me? My plus 5, is that going to raise it from 12 to 20? Or is that going to raise it from 20, or is that going to raise it from, say, 80 to 81? From 80 to 81, I could care less about my 5% chance of blockage. But if it goes from, say, 15 to 22, then yes, I do care about my 5%. So if you're going to use percentages, which I recommend you don't, then you put the numbers in there so the person can see, okay, my enemy mischance plus 3% means it's going to go from a mischance of 20 to a mischance of 27%, or whatever your game system's based on. So there you go. Its loot system is not that hard to fix the problem. All you need to do is incorporate a bunch of new numbers. A bunch of new colors. Add in 12, 15 different colors. Then you can put all your different weapons in the different slots. You level cap each of those different colors so that your blues are always higher than your greens. Your golds are always higher than your silvers. Your yellows are always higher than your whites. Whatever colors you decide to use, you always make sure the numbers in the system are higher when you move up the next class. And of course, put in stats at work without percentages. Give actual bonuses, and if you have to use percentages, then simply put in and show the person what that means to them. I don't understand. The other thing is, and last but not least, like I just mentioned, the items you find that should be higher level, better color, should be your best items. They shouldn't be replaced. I had legendary items that were level 25 or 20 or whatever they were. I can't even remember off the top of my head what level they were. They were replaced within maybe 2 hours of playing by common blue items in Diablo 3. That should not be that way. If you're going to incorporate legendary items or some kind of unique system where you have some unique items, some rare, super rare, whatever you want to call them, legendary, rare items, then those items shouldn't be replaced by common items. And the way to fix that problem is to level cap all the different levels. There you go. That's my fix to the system. Hopefully the manufacturers will listen to some people out there that are frustrated with this whole loot system. I'm not trying to talk about one game in particular. I'm talking about the game loot systems for all PC games that have come out. They're absolutely terrible, and they need to spend a little less time putting in wonderful graphics and a little more time into creating the actual treasure system that the players are going to use. Make it something they can understand, make it simple and easy for them. I don't know how many hours I've wasted in all these different games sitting there trying to compare this set of boots versus this set of boots. Is this set of boots better than this one? Well, let's see. This one's plus 2 strength, plus 15 health. This one here doesn't, this is kind of a bad example. Let me go to my weapons here. Maybe, okay, so here we go. We have plus 3 will, plus 50 power, reduce wear, 300%, plus 16 fire damage. Well, this weapon here is plus 5 health regen, minus 16 shock damage, plus 15 shock damage, plus 15 fire damage. Well, is that one better than this one? I don't know. I'm going to have to compare and sit there and blah, blah, blah. It would be simple and easy if this is an orange item, this is a red item. I know red items are higher level. Boom, I switch on this item because it's got to be better because it's the next class up. So there you go. Simple fix, easy, done, and players can move on, play the game, and not get stuck, muddled down, trying to figure out this horrible loot system that all these games have. There you go. Rant and Raves by ID Jester. Hope you appreciate it. Be sure to leave your comments, thoughts, and suggestions as well. I am listening. I will reply. And I would like to hear what everybody has to say out there, because I have a feeling I'm not the only one that feels this way. And we need to get on these manufacturers and tell them what a piece of crap all these different loot systems are and how to fix it. It's not that hard. So thank you all for listening. Sorry if I have offended anybody. I'm not trying to pick on any game in particular. I am just talking about loot systems in general. Thank you all for joining me. Be sure to tune in next time, or maybe we'll actually get to see some gameplay done. Until then, this is ID Jester signing off.